Good morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning, good morning. The Senate will come to order. At this time, I'll ask all unauthorized personnel to exit the chamber. I recognize the distinguished rules chairman with his brand new suit, Senator from 28th. I told you that suit took words away from my mouth, you know. Senator, why don't you come to the front here, and while they're working on the individual microphones here.
Are we on? Mr. President, I'm convinced you just wanted to get me down here so you could take it all in. But good morning. So we don't have any pages today, apparently. I didn't have a page list. That breaks my heart. But it is a rainy day, so it's probably better that they stay at home and stay in school. But today, yesterday we had a great birthday. A great American had a birthday, January 8th, the King. Another great American birthday today, my mama, Linda Brass. Happy birthday, mama. Journal's been read and found to be correct. Y'all want me to stay here so you can just keep looking at me?
No, you're good, Senator.
You sure?
Yes, sir.
You sure?
Yeah, you're welcome.
Are you sure?
You are welcome to yield the well. Thank you, Senator. Is there objection to dispensing of the reading of the journal? Chair hears none. The reading of the journal is dispensed with. Is there objection to confirmation of the journal? Chair hears none. The journal is confirmed. All senators who have bills and resolutions to introduce, please bring them to the Secretary's desk at this time. First reading and references to Senate bills and resolutions. Secretary.
Senate Bill 333 by Senator Dixon of the 45th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to incorporate the city of Mulberry to
State and local government.
Senate Bill 334 by Senators Albers of the 56th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 25323 of the OCGA relating to minimum
Insurance and labor.
Senate Bill 335 by Senator Albers of the 56th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 16622 of the OCGA relating to incest so as to expressly include
Judiciary.
Senate Bill 336 by Senator Kirkpatrick of the 32nd and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 2 of Title 37 of the
Regulated
OCGA.
industries.
Senate Bill 337 by Senator Kirkpatrick of the 32nd and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 38-111 of the OCGA relating to personal aids.
Government oversight.
Senate Bill 338 by Senator Seltzer of the 37th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act providing for the
State
election.
and local government, general.
Senate Resolution 432 by Senator James of the 35th and others, a resolution urging.
Rules.
Senate Resolution 433 by Senators Ginn of the 47th and
Rules.
others. That completes the order, Mr. President.
It is now time for the morning roll call. Are there any motions to excuse? Senator from the 33rd. Senators asked that senators from the 38th, the 36th, the 35th, and the 43rd be excused. Without objection, they are excused. Recognize the senator from the 2nd. I can hear you.
Unanimous consent to excuse the senator 14th for business outside the Capitol.
Okay. Senators ask that the senator from the 14th be excused. Without objection, the senator is excused. Senator from the 33rd again. You got your light on again, or you're on? Okay, waving off. Senator from the 7th? No. I think we're having a malfunction here, but in any other excuse? Anyone like to excuse? Okay. If there is no other motions to excuse, Secretary will call the roll of senators. Signify your presence by voting the yea switch. Secretary will unlock the machines. It is now time for the morning devotion. All senators, please take your seats and cease all audible conversation. Doorkeepers, please secure the chamber at this time. I'd like to recognize our pro tem, the senator from the 18th, to introduce our chaplain of the day. Senator?
Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Thank you, Mr. President. Let's first begin with Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now to our Georgia flag. I pledge allegiance to the Georgia flag and to the principles for which it stands, wisdom, justice, and moderation, courage. Well, good morning, colleagues, again, and thank you, Mr. President. It is my honor today to introduce as our chaplain of the day, Rabbi Elizabeth Bahar. On June the 1st of 2020, Rabbi Elizabeth Bahar joined Temple Beth Israel in Macon. Rabbi Bahar earned her BA in philosophy at Brandeis University. Rabbi Bahar was ordained in 2009 by Hebrew Union College, Jewish Institute of Religion, where she also earned her Master of Arts in Hebrew Letters. Prior to joining Temple Beth Israel in Macon, she served the congregation in Jacksonville, Florida. Before that, she served as the spiritual leader of Temple B'nai Shalom in Huntsville, Alabama. The values and traditions she cherishes and her commitment to fostering the closest relationship possible between the congregation and clergy are central to her new role at Temple Beth Israel in Macon. Her commitment to community and learning extends her roles as she is a published author. She's also a board member of various Macon organizations, including the Interfaith Tapestry, Leadership Macon, Mercer University, and Mercer's Marriage and Family Therapy Program. Rabbi Bahar's multifaceted career reflects her dedication to faith, education, and, as you have seen, community service. She is joined today by her daughter, Aiden, who is with us. And colleagues, please join me in welcoming Rabbi Bahar, Elizabeth Bahar, this morning. Thank you.
I'm sure some of you saw several weeks ago in the news reports about an airplane in Japan that had a horrific incident. Of course, I clicked the bait and realized that it wasn't just an incident, it was a miracle. 379 passengers survived that fiery crash. A miracle in and of itself that so many of them, the entire flight survived. And investigators went on to determine, why did those people come out alive? It was discovered that not only did they have a perfect exit, but they all left their baggage behind. And the truth is that there are various times in our lives when we do need to do that. We need to leave our baggage behind. Today we live in an era of so much divisiveness where there is polarization and xenophobia. It reminds me of a time period just a few centuries ago, in 587 BCE, when the temple was destroyed because of so much contention. From those very seminal events, time period in which altered the Israelite experience, the community had to face the realities of the loss of an old world, a king, and a temple, and it did so using the support of its prophets, the prophets Jeremiah, Ezekiel, and 2nd Isaiah. It was the weeping prophet Jeremiah who articulated that newness comes out of grief. It was the priest prophet Ezekiel who emphasized holiness becomes the grounds from which hope is sprouted. And it was 2nd Isaiah who practiced the value of memory, articulating new possibilities. Memory, of course, asserts against the amnesia for which nothing is noticed, critiqued, and at times even subsequently absolutized. And is that lesson that I think brings us to the question, what type of baggage do we need to learn from? What type of baggage do we need to subsequently let go of? As a Jewish rabbi, I carry the baggage of my people's experience. In understanding Jewish history in the state of Georgia, this includes Jews who had amazing, profound impacts on this very state. For instance, when the state was being founded under General James Oglethorpe in 1733, there was an epidemic that was threatening the colony's very existence. 2 ships came, carrying 90 Jewish individuals, aboard which was a physician, Dr. Nunes, who became the colony's only physician, stemmed the epidemic, saving Georgia. The group went on to establish the very first synagogue, Mikveh Israel, in 1735. We see other Jews who came up and sprouted up and supported this state, including David Emanuel, who was the very first Jewish governor in the entire United States and was a governor in this state after serving as the Senate president in, I doubt this very chamber, but a chamber similar to this. The county Emanuel, by the way, is named after him. There are many other Jews who were important and influential in this state, supporting the state's economic background and backbone, creating stores and businesses and going on to support the foundation of libraries in a variety of institutions. But just as much a part of the state of those Jews who went on to support and enrich it was also part of our history, which is sad. Those anti-Semitic moments, which is an unfortunate memory. During the Civil War, Jews were temporarily banned from Thomasville, and it was under the influence of the KKK in the early 20th century surrounding Leo Frank, which eventually led to his lynching. And lastly, the infamous bombing in 1958 of the temple, and even this summer, when outside of my congregation, some neo-Nazis marched and committed some horrendous acts. Yet I will say that even amongst all of that, the support that my community has experienced from the state is invaluable. I'm reminded of Maya Angelou, who taught, without courage we cannot practice any other virtue with consistency. We cannot be kind, true, merciful, generous, or honest. It takes courage to be able to self-reflect and see the baggage that we have around us. Ask us and ask ourselves, is it limiting us? Is it preventing us from going forward? Or is it helping us? Is it something that we can actually learn from? And it takes courage, and I'm not speaking about the type of courage of Atlanta's very own Dr. Martin Luther King. It takes small acts to lead us toward a more united, more whole experience, when today that is so much of what is needed. And it's not the courage that requires us to put our lives at risk, nor does it demand that we walk into the water first, and I'm referring to a very ancient story. Rather, the rabbis teach us not to rely necessarily on miracles in the present world. We're taught that God walks with us. And so I ask us, to have courage as we go forward. Please rise. We pray for the power of your Spirit to transform us into vessels of grace and compassion, restore our fractured lives so that we with one voice may give you ever thanks and praise. As we come into this legislative session as leaders in this great state of Georgia, may our deeds reveal holiness among and around us. May the doors of this legislative body be wide enough to receive and hear the voices of all who hunger for love and who are lonely for friendship. May it welcome all who have cares to unburden, thanks to express, hopes to nurture. May the door be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity, and may its threshold be no stumbling block to young or straying feet. May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness, and may you, as leaders of this great state of Georgia, be inspired to help the entire state lead a more rich and meaningful life. Thank you, and amen.
like to call on the senator from the 6th to introduce our doctor today. It's always a pleasure. Obviously, we like to recognize these physicians who come down here and volunteer their time and services to come, visit us and the people here in this Capitol, and we greatly appreciate it. And I recognize a good senator from Buckhead.
Good morning, colleagues. It is my pleasure to introduce this morning Dr. McClellan, who is an Atlanta native and a 1997 graduate of the Westminster Schools right here in Senate District 6. He earned his BA in history from Princeton University in 2001, and while at Princeton, he played a number of sports. He returned to Atlanta after his stint at Princeton to get his MD degree from Emory University School of Medicine in 2005, where he was honored with the Joseph Whitehead Surgery Scholarship. He remained at Emory to complete his orthopedics residency training. And then after that, he completed a prestigious fellowship in hand, upper extremity, and microvascular surgery at the Curtis National Hand Center in Baltimore, Maryland, and then also pursued a fellowship in shoulder and elbow surgery in Nice, France. He has spoken publicly and lectured both nationally and internationally and continues to participate actively in orthopedic research. Please join me in welcoming Dr. McClellan.
Thank you all very much for having me, Mr. President. Senator Estevez, I appreciate that nice invitation. It's a good day to be inside making laws instead of outside in the weather. But on a personal level, I just want to thank all of you and the commitment you've made to the state of Georgia. My grandfather was actually in the state legislature here in Georgia on the House side for a dozen years back in the 50s and 60s, J. Ralph McClellan. So our family has an appreciation for what you do. And then from a physician side, I just want to encourage all of you as you make your policy decisions and discuss things over the next several weeks to think about what we can do to take good care of the patients of Georgia, what we can do to recruit the best and brightest physicians and maintain the best and brightest physicians within our state. So thank you all for the commitment you've made, and thank you for having me today. And if I can help you, I'll be in the infirmary all day. All right, thank you.
Are there any unanimous consents? Does any senator wish to rise on a point of personal privilege? Now, just give you a little update here. We are having technical difficulties with the mics at your desk. We do have Alexandria here who has a mobile mic if any of you would like to speak from your desk. So that will be made available to you. But I recognize Senator from the 2nd for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. This morning, colleagues, I rise to wish the men of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated, which is my fraternity, a happy Founders Day. This is our 110th Founders Day of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. And today, as we celebrate our rich legacy of brotherhood, scholarship, and service, we stand united under our guiding principle of culture for service and service for humanity. This year, we focus on the power of our vote, emphasizing our role in civic engagement and democratic participation, and our collective voice is crucial in shaping our communities and the future. So today, rise to honor our past, commit to the present, and look forward to a future where our fraternity continues to lead and inspire us. On behalf of the men of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated, if you know a Sigma, just text them and say Happy Founders Day. With that, Mr. President, I yield the well.
Thank you, Senator. Does any other senator wish to rise on a point of personal privilege? All right. You have before you a consent calendar of privileged resolutions. Does any senator wish to remove a resolution from the consent calendar? Is there objection to the adoption of the resolution on the consent calendar? Chair hears none. The resolutions on the consent calendar are adopted. Are there any motions to withdraw or commit? You want anything? Recognize the senator from the 51st, Majority Leader. Come on down here to the roster here. Come to the well here. Yeah.
Good morning, Mr. President. Thank you. Day 2 is over. Moving on to better and bigger things. So, Mr. President, I move that the Senate stand adjourned until 2 p.m. on Wednesday, January the 10th.
The Majority Leader has moved. Secretary, read the announcements.
Regulated Industries and Utilities Committee meets at 4:00 p.m. today in room 450. That completes the order, Mr. President.
All right, the Majority Leader has moved that we stand adjourned until 2 p.m. tomorrow. All those in favor of the motion will signify by saying aye. All those opposed, no. Looks like the ayes clearly have it. We're adjourned.